Okay, so I just got done with the overall video. If you just stumbled upon this video and haven't seen the other one, then I'd recommend watching the other one as well, so you can get an idea on the condition of this bike. One thing I didn't say earlier, and people are probably wondering, but it is a 6-speed. You can tell there's a six notches there showing you how many gears it has and whatnot. So I'm gonna sit on her and fire her up here so you can see. What I showed earlier is that she's cold. Obviously, if this thing was hot at all, I'm gonna be putting my hand on the header pipe there. It's all cold, the engine's cold, everything's cold on it. I think it's important to see how these things run in the beginning when they first start up. I have a Great Dane, so I haven't rode the bike in a while. I've had the Dane for a long time, but he goes with my sister sometimes, and he's been with me the past month. So it actually hasn't been, I haven't rode it in the month of August at all. We're almost in September now. So basically I just turned the ignition into on position. This is the way you'd go to start it if you're not familiar with how bikes work. And if you're not familiar, and this is a first bike, this is probably the best bike to learn on. For a guy my size that's ridden a lot in his life and ridden thousands and big bikes, I was a little worried it wasn't going to have enough power. I weigh 200 pounds and I'm 6'4", so 6'3" on a bad day. But nonetheless, I was really concerned with the size of it because I was so used to bigger bikes. And I can tell you that while it doesn't have the overall top end speed that the little bikes, the more the Rice Rocket or race bikes do, this bike will outperform almost anybody with a good rider on it in the canyons. It's a tight turning, low end power, a lot of torque. Even off the line, it's a very quick bike and whatnot. So if you are a beginner, that makes it a very easy bike to learn versus the kind of overpowering bikes that I feel like the thousands are. And even if you're my size, I really think I would recommend learning on a bike this size and getting very good at it before I would want to upgrade to anything else. So without further ado, we'll fire up here. Now it does have some safety things on it. Even though we're in the on position, you're going to notice something here. I'm going to flick it here. It's fuel injected. Up, didn't hear anything, right? And that's because there's a safety mechanism that it makes this bike not start when the kickstand's down here. So if I were to hit this on and then put my kickstand up here, you'll hear it. Okay, you hear the fuel injection there, kick on, it's pumping, priming everything. Now I'm gonna put this back down, and that's gonna kick off that. Basically, it won't allow you to start it now. And I don't have the clutch in right now anyway, but if I were to have the clutch in with that kickstand down, it's not allowing me to move or even fire it up. So I'm gonna put it up and start it as we would start it. So okay, we're in off, on here, kickstands up, click this to that, primes the fuel injection system. You gotta have clutch in. It does not start without the clutch in here. Okay, another safety thing they do. Clutch in. Actually, it's in gear right now. I don't know. Let me see. It might. Let's see. Yeah. So even though it's in neutral now, it still will not allow you to start this thing without having this clutch in. That's the safety thing. So I wish I had somebody help me right now. I could see it from afar, but I got my foot on the rear brake. You see now the check light's gone off. Oil light's still on because the motor's not on. There's no pressure coming up right now. But when I fire this guy up here in a second, all that stuff's gonna go off here. So I'm gonna just tap it. You just really need to see that it's right on. So I can let my hand off the clutch. It's in neutral. All the lights are off. It's idling well. We'll let it warm up for a minute because it hasn't been run in about a month, and go from there. And you can see it redlines at 11,000. My old bike redlined at like 18,000. So this is a much different style of bike. It's a V-twin engine, which is for the most part what a lot of your this tank the way it is, it really allows you, especially a guy my size, 6'4", to really lean down into this bike and put my head to where my eyes, this is my eye level right here, and then really get into this bike here. So I'm gonna give you a little gas so you can hear it, because it does have a performance pipe on it here. So you really get appreciation for the way this is Alright, and that's about it. So I'll get off of it now. I showed you earlier with the kickstand on, it doesn't start, but if you're in neutral, it will allow you to start this bike, and you can warm it up, walk away, and really just get a good appreciation for the way that she runs. So I've shipped things my entire life. I've gotten really good at it. So if you're actually bought this bike on eBay, and if you're not used to ever buying something like this, don't be afraid to. It's not that difficult. If you want to pick it up in person and take a crazy adventure and ride it back home, by all means. But if you're a beginner rider, please do not do that. You would be very uncomfortable learning how to ride a bike while you're going across country, and at least in my opinion, you really need to kind of work yourself up to that, just for your body and everything else. If you do want to fly out here to Denver, and I'll pick you up at the airport and bring you back to my shop, and you're more than welcome to jump on it and go anywhere you want on it, you know, by all means. I would suggest we just ship it to you. It's very inexpensive to ship things, especially with fuel prices being where they are, and especially if you can be fairly patient on it. If you want fast shipping, you're probably going to pay $500-600 pretty much anywhere in the US, unless it's on a coastal side, just because we're in the middle, and you might be in the $700-800 range. If you have some patience, I've shipped bikes for $250 across the country. So it really depends on you know, how quickly you want the bike and whatnot. As in all my auctions, anything I do on eBay, unless it's one of our Jeep parts, which we do buy it nows and all that stuff, this thing is going to be a no reserve auction. It will start off at $250. It will start today, Sunday, which I think is the 30th of August today, and then it'll end a week from today. So the first Sunday, which is Labor Day weekend actually, which I don't like usually ending on holiday weekends, but I think you'll be good. If you are going to be planning on being out of town that weekend and you've watched this video, you may want to think about putting a bid in early, so you don't have to be around when the bidding comes to an end. Typically, in my experience, if you're not used to bidding on things on eBay, the majority of the bids come the last day, and of that, 75% more of them come the last hour and last few minutes of any auction. So that's typically what happens. It's not always what happens, and sometimes with vehicles, motorcycles, cars, Jeeps, whatnot, you know, they get to what they're going to sell at, and then they don't move at all. So maybe you'll luck out with it. Regardless, you'll be happy with this bike, and I would be more than happy to help get it to you and go from there. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, please feel free to email me or give me a call, and we can go from there. I appreciate your time. And again, this is a 2008 SV650S Suzuki, and it's just been a really, really great bike for me. So if you need any Jeep part needs, on the other hand, I'm definitely your guy. Again, we got every single Jeep part you can imagine, especially in the Wranglers and the CJs, all the way from the 40s on up, and we do sell new parts and accessories and have some of the better pricing as that as well. We're just north of downtown Denver. I'm about 20 minutes north of downtown, whatnot. So thanks a lot for watching the video.